My name is Eliza, and this was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. I remember the glittering chandeliers, the hum of polite conversation, the little plates of fancy hors d'oeuvres no one was really eating. People I hadn't seen in years showed up with polished smiles, snapping photos of me in my engagement dress, acting like they were a part of my story. But they had no idea what was about to happen. It all happened so fast I can still taste the coppery blood in my mouth. My father, Malcolm, had been nursing a drink all night, pacing around like he owned the place. I'd seen that look in his eyes before, the one that meant trouble was coming, whether you liked it or not. Then he stood up. His voice cut through the happy chatter like a blade. "Eliza!" he shouted, raising his glass so hard a few drops of wine spilled down his sleeve. "I want you to announce to everyone that you'll be giving your $200,000 fund to your brother Daniel today, or this engagement is over." My heart stopped. The room fell deathly quiet. I swear I heard the air conditioning click off, like the whole world paused. My fiancé, Noah, froze, eyes darting from me to Malcolm. People turned to stare, waiting to see what I'd do. I swallowed hard. "No," I said, the words slicing through my throat like a razor. Malcolm's eyes darkened as if I'd just spat in his face. His hand clenched around the glass, veins pulsing. "What did you say?" I tried to stand tall, even though my legs were shaking. I said no. He moved so fast I barely had time to flinch. The glass shattered against the floor, and then his fist connected with my cheek. I heard a scream, maybe my own, and felt the floor coming up to meet me. The pain didn't even register at first, just shock. I tasted metal, felt something warm trickle from my nose. People gasped, someone shouted to call 911, but no one dared move. I pushed myself up, slow and shaky, wiping the blood from my lips with the back of my hand. The whole room was still staring, waiting for me to break. I didn't. I stood up straighter, the sting on my cheek making my eyes water, and looked straight at my father, then at every single person who had gathered to celebrate me, or pretend to. "You have no idea," I said, my voice steady despite the tears welling up, "what I'm about to do next." Their shocked faces blurred as I turned and stepped away from the broken glass and the champagne and the dreams they tried to steal from me. Because this time, I wasn't going to let them. "My name is Eliza, and I want you to understand something before you judge me. I grew up thinking my family was normal. My father, Malcolm, worked in finance. A sharp-dressed man with a booming laugh that could fill a room, and a temper that could burn that same room to the ground. My mother, Helen, was soft-spoken and tired, always trying to smooth things over. And then there was Daniel, my younger brother. Daniel was the golden child from the start. Charming, careless, quick with an apology whenever he messed up, and he messed up a lot. Still, my parents seemed convinced he was destined for greatness. Every time he got in trouble, they bailed him out. Every time he failed, they made excuses. Me? I was the reliable one. The straight-A daughter who got scholarships, worked 2 jobs, and scraped together every penny until I had saved $200,000 for my future. I thought if I just proved myself enough, they'd see me too. That someday, maybe, I'd be someone they were proud of. And then I met Noah. Noah changed everything. He was gentle where my father was harsh, steady where Daniel was reckless. From our first date, I felt like I could breathe around him. He saw me, really saw me, the hard-working, exhausted woman under the polite smiles. When he proposed to me, it felt like the first time in my life I was allowed to put myself first. Planning our engagement party was supposed to be a celebration. I had dreamed of this day since I was a kid. But as soon as Malcolm heard about my savings, my $200,000, it was like a fuse was lit. He started making comments weeks before the party. "Your brother needs a fresh start. Family supports family. You don't need that much money. Noah will take care of you." Each time, my stomach twisted. I tried to laugh it off, I tried to change the subject, but the guilt crawled under my skin because deep down, part of me still wanted my father's approval. Daniel didn't even pretend to feel bad. He waltzed through the world like it was made to forgive him. Credit cards maxed out, shady friends, a new business idea every month. It never stopped. I kept telling myself, this is my money. I worked for this. I earned this. But the closer the party came, the more I felt cornered. Like they were laying a trap I couldn't quite see. Noah tried to keep the peace. Bless him. He said things like, maybe they'll calm down, or they just want what's best for everyone. He meant well, but he didn't really know my father. I should have trusted my instincts. Because that night, with all those people watching, with the music still playing and the air so thick you could choke on it, Malcolm showed me exactly who he was. And for the first time, I finally saw it too. After Malcolm's first threat about my savings, I tried to keep the peace. I really did. I smiled through tense phone calls, rehearsed polite ways to say no, hoping it wouldn't come to this. But slowly, the cracks in the fantasy of my perfect engagement began to show. Every few days there was a new pressure point. My mother would call me late at night, her voice shaking. "Eliza, you know your brother is struggling." Like I didn't already know. "He just needs a little help to get back on track." A little help? Daniel had burned through more money than I could even imagine, and still managed to believe the world owed him more. Then Noah, trying to be the diplomat, started hinting that maybe giving Daniel some of the money would calm everything down. He meant well, I know he did, but every time he suggested it, a part of me broke a little more. I had built that fun dollar by dollar. Sleepless nights, missed parties, working weekends while Daniel drank and partied and gambled. Why did it fall on me to fix him? The closer the party drew, the more tense everything became. Malcolm would text me out of nowhere. "Remember what I said." Or "Don't embarrass the family." Every ding of my phone made my stomach clench. I tried to focus on flowers and catering and dresses, but it felt like there was a storm rolling in, and I was the only one who could feel the wind picking up. Even Daniel got bolder. At a family dinner the week before the party, he leaned across the table, all confidence and charm, and said, "So sis, when are you signing over the money? Dad said it'll be official by the party, right?" Like it was a done deal. Like my life savings were a prize he was entitled to. I froze, a fork halfway to my mouth. My mother's eyes darted away. Noah's face tightened, but he stayed silent. That moment told me everything. They had already decided what I was supposed to do. By the time the engagement party arrived, I felt like I was walking into a trap. One dressed up in roses and champagne flutes. Friends hugged me, congratulated me, took photos with me, but my heart was pounding the entire time. The music, the speeches, the laughter, it all felt wrong, like it didn't belong to me. And then I saw Malcolm standing in the corner, watching me, a glass of wine in his hand, the same cold fire in his eyes that always meant danger. Somewhere deep down, I knew he wasn't going to let this night pass without a fight. I should have trusted my instincts that night. From the moment I stepped into the banquet hall, I felt like a lamb walking into the slaughter. The lights were beautiful, the flowers perfect, the music gentle and sweet. But under it all, there was something poisonous. It was Malcolm's eyes. That look he got when he'd decided things were going to go his way, no matter who got hurt. The guests settled into their seats. There were polite laughs during the toasts, even a few tears when Noah stood up to say how much he loved me. For a moment, I actually let myself believe we'd made it, that maybe my father would back down, at least for one night. Then he stood. Malcolm pushed back his chair, slow and dramatic, clinking a spoon against his wine glass until the entire hall went quiet. I could feel Noah tense beside me. Daniel was grinning, oblivious or maybe excited. My heart hammered so hard I thought I might pass out. Malcolm lifted his glass, face full of mock pride. "I want to make a very special announcement," he boomed. People turned to listen. I felt the blood drain from my face. "My daughter Eliza," he went on, voice steady and cold, "has something to share with you all tonight. She is going to give her $200,000 savings to her brother Daniel so he can start over. That is her gift to this family." A hush fell over the room, so sharp it nearly hurt my ears. I could barely breathe. I looked at him, then at the guests. So many pairs of eyes waiting for me to confirm, to smile and nod and be the good daughter. But I couldn't. I wouldn't. My hands were shaking as I stood up. "No," I said, loud enough for everyone to hear. Gasps rippled through the room. Malcolm's face twitched, then went dark, like a storm cloud ready to break. "Excuse me?" he growled. I steadied myself on the table, hard in my throat. "I said no," I repeated, voice cracking but strong. For a heartbeat, no one moved. Then, with a sharp motion, Malcolm slammed his glass down, shards flying. Before I could react, his fist smashed into my cheek. The world tilted. Pain exploded through my face. I heard chairs scraping, a woman screaming, the music cutting off with a jarring silence. I crashed to the floor, stunned, tasting blood. The last thing I saw before I pushed myself up was Malcolm standing over me, breathing hard, like he'd just done something righteous. And in that moment, with the entire room frozen in shock, I knew something inside me had broken for good. The first thing I remember after hitting the floor was the deafening silence. Like the entire world had stopped breathing with me. The blood in my mouth tasted like pennies, warm and metallic, and for a second I couldn't even feel my face. Then the voices started, shouting, confusion, a few guests crying. Someone called my name, but it sounded muffled, far away, like I was underwater. I forced myself to move. My hands trembled as I pushed against the floor, glass crunching under my palm. My vision swam, but I refused to stay down. I would not give them the satisfaction. When I finally stood, the room was chaos. Noah was yelling at Malcolm, his face twisted in rage I had never seen before. My mother hovered near me, hands half raised, like she wanted to help but was too scared to choose a side. Daniel just looked annoyed, like I had ruined his party. Malcolm was still standing there, chest heaving, glaring at me with a coldness that made my skin crawl. "You've embarrassed this family," he spat, as if I was the one who had destroyed everything. I wiped the blood from my chin and looked around at all the people who had come to celebrate us. Friends, relatives, distant cousins, all staring at me, eyes wide with horror, but no one brave enough to step forward. My heart cracked open right there. Noah reached for me, gently touching my arm. "Eliza, let's go," he whispered, voice breaking. But I couldn't move yet. I needed them to hear me. I swallowed hard, ignoring the pain in my jaw. "This is my money," I told the room, trying to hold steady. "I worked for it. It's mine." No one answered. The guests looked away, uncomfortable, shifting in their seats. Malcolm took a step closer, still towering over me. "If you leave with that money," he hissed, "you will never be part of this family again." For a moment, that word, family, twisted like a knife in my ribs. It reminded me of every bedtime story, every promise that family meant protection. But standing there, surrounded by silence, I realized that had never really been true. Noah tugged at me again, desperate to get me away. "Please, Eliza, let's go before he hurts you again." I nodded, legs barely holding me up. The shame, the rage, the heartbreak were all tangled inside me, making it hard to breathe. As we left, the music started up again, awkward and shaky, like the party was trying to pretend it could still go on. But nothing was the same. And deep in my chest, something new was rising, something fierce and cold. I knew I couldn't let this end here. I thought leaving the engagement party would be the end of it. That maybe, somehow, Walking out meant I was finally free of Malcolm's reach. But nothing about my father was ever that simple. Noah tried to help me calm down once we got outside. His hands shook as he dabbed at my split lip with a tissue from his jacket pocket. His eyes were wide and panicked, darting over my shoulder like he expected Malcolm to come bursting out after us. "Eliza," he said softly, "I'm sorry. I never thought he would actually—" He broke off, his voice catching. I nodded, swallowing a metallic taste. There was no apology big enough to fix what had just happened. For a while, we sat in silence on the edge of the curb, the night air heavy with unspoken words. The distant noise of the party still carried through the walls, muffled and strange, like we were hearing a celebration from another lifetime. Then Noah surprised me. "There's something I have to tell you," he said, voice low, eyes avoiding mine. A chill ran down my spine. "What?" I managed, throat raw. He hesitated, twisting his hands together. "I didn't want to tell you this before because I was trying to protect you, but—" His voice faltered again. "Your dad doesn't just want your money for Daniel. There's more." My heart dropped. Noah looked at me then, full of shame. "Daniel owes people. Dangerous people." I stared at him, numb. "What do you mean, dangerous?" He swallowed hard. "Your dad told me Daniel got involved with loan sharks, real criminals. If he doesn't pay them back, they're coming after your family. Malcolm thinks using your savings is the only way to buy them off." I felt like the world shifted under my feet. Everything tilted and spun. "You knew this?" I choked out. Noah looked like he might cry. "I only found out a few days ago. I was going to tell you, but your dad convinced me it would ruin the party if you found out. I thought maybe he'd change his mind." I couldn't breathe. My entire childhood flashed before my eyes. Every time Malcolm protected Daniel, every lie he told to cover up Daniel's failures. And now, it was happening all over again, only bigger. Only this time, it could get us all killed. The worst part? Noah had known. He'd kept it from me, trying to shield me, or maybe just trying to keep the peace. I couldn't tell. I felt so alone in that moment, I thought my ribs might break from the pressure. My father hadn't just humiliated me in front of my guests. He was willing to sacrifice me, my savings, my future, to protect Daniel from criminals. And Noah, the man I thought I could trust, had helped keep that secret. My hands went cold. The pain from my cheek throbbed with every heartbeat. Suddenly, I realized the fight wasn't over. It had barely begun. I don't know how long I sat on that curb, numb, trying to stitch together the pieces of a life that felt like it had been blown apart in seconds. Noah sat beside me, quiet, eyes full of guilt, but I couldn't look at him. Something inside me had finally snapped. My whole life I'd been the peacemaker, the good daughter, the one who worked hard and didn't complain. I let my father use me, let my brother drain everyone dry, let my mother look away because it was easier than fighting. Not anymore. I stood, ignoring the dull ache that pulsed through my face where Malcolm's fist had landed. My legs trembled, but I refused to show weakness. "Eliza?" Noah called softly. "What are you going to do?" I didn't answer him, because the truth was, I wasn't even sure yet, only that I would never let them take another piece of me. I turned and walked back toward the banquet hall. The music was still going, faintly, like some cruel joke. I pushed open the doors, letting the bright light blind me for a second. Heads turned, conversations stopped. Malcolm stood near the bar, smug and towering, telling someone a story as though nothing had happened. When he saw me, his grin faded. I stepped forward, voice steady and cold. "Everyone, listen to me." People froze, staring, wide-eyed. "My father wants you all to believe I'm giving away my savings," I said, voice shaking only slightly. "Because he cares about family. That's a lie. He wants to use my money to cover up Daniel's gambling debts with criminals. and he was willing to destroy me tonight to make that happen. A stunned silence followed. Malcolm's face went red, then white, like he might explode. "That's enough," he roared, moving toward me. But I stepped back, holding up my hand. "I am done with you," I told him. "You will never control me again, and if you or Daniel or anyone else tries to touch $1 of my money, I will press charges for assault tonight, and I will expose every debt, every threat, and every lie. Do you hear me?" My voice didn't even sound like mine. It was iron, forged from years of being used. For a moment, no one moved. Then Malcolm's shoulders slumped. I saw something new in his eyes. Fear. I took a deep breath, turning to the crowd. "Enjoy the party," I said, voice calm. "But my engagement is over." I walked out before anyone could react, before my father could find a new angle, before the shame or heartbreak could crush me. Outside, the night felt different. Cold, but clean. For the first time, I felt like I was breathing free air. Maybe I had lost a fiancé. Maybe I had lost a family. But I had finally found myself. I wish I could say I walked away from that night without looking back. But I did look back. Once. Standing outside the banquet hall, I turned and glanced through the glass doors. I saw Malcolm, still fuming, Daniel pacing and shouting, my mother looking small and lost. All the guests pretending they hadn't witnessed a family ripping itself to shreds. And I realized in that moment that none of them were ever going to change. Noah came out a few minutes later, looking hollow. His tie was loose, his hands jammed in his pockets. He stopped in front of me, searching my face, maybe hoping there was something left between us. "Eliza," he said softly, "please, we can fix this." I shook my head. My cheek still ached where Malcolm had struck me, but deeper than that was the wound in my heart. The knowledge that the person I trusted most had chosen to keep secrets, thinking it would protect me. "Noah," I said, voice steady, "you should have told me the truth. You should have stood with me." His shoulders slumped, defeated. "I'm sorry," he whispered. I nodded once, because I believed he meant it. But some damage can't be undone. "Take care of yourself," I told him, then walked away. That night, I didn't go home. I booked a cheap motel room an hour outside the city, needing distance, needing space to breathe. I sat on the edge of a squeaky bed, staring at the peeling wallpaper, thinking about every moment that had led me here. My whole life, I had tried to be what everyone wanted, the perfect daughter, the responsible sister, the dependable partner. I had twisted myself into shapes just to be enough for them, but none of that ever saved me. In the quiet of that cheap motel, I finally let myself cry, not just for what I had lost, but for the years I had wasted trying to earn love from people who only knew how to take. When I woke up the next morning, something inside me felt different. Lighter, stronger. I called my bank and froze my accounts. Called a lawyer about what had happened at the party. Step by step, I started taking back control, even if it terrified me. Because I had learned a hard truth. Family is supposed to lift you up, not tear you apart. That lesson will stay with me forever. And maybe, just maybe, the next time I open my heart to someone, I'll remember that I am enough all by myself. That I don't have to be anyone's safety net or anyone's sacrifice. I hope anyone listening to my story remembers this too. You are allowed to protect what you have built. You are allowed to say no. Because sometimes saying no is the bravest thing you will ever do.